Picture a kitchen at dusk, the sink quiet, the air still, a stack of bills lit by a single lamp. Voices are careful at first, then sharper, then too fast to catch. This is where so many relationships leak trust, tiny cuts from tone, timing, and triggers. Tonight we're naming what actually works, and why conflict resolution for couples is less about winning an argument and more about protecting the bond, holding the whole home together. You're here with Whispered Hearts, English, where we slow the moment down until it makes sense. We give space to breathe, then we build the bridge back to each other. If you've ever stared at your partner across a kitchen table and thought, "How did we get here again?" You're not broken. You're human, and there are reliable ways to de-escalate, listen, and create agreements that last. Most fights don't start with the real issue. They start with tone, a loaded sigh, the way someone looks away when the other is still speaking. Couples often argue about dishes, money, free time, or phones at dinner. What hurts more is the feeling of being dismissed or of talking into a storm that won't let up. There's a trap here that's easy to miss. The more threatened we feel, the more we try to prove our point, and the less we actually hear. It's a loop that turns partners into opponents. Have you noticed an argument where you both say the same lines every time, almost like a script you never wanted to memorize? But something quieter decides what happens next. The turn is small enough to fit into a breath. Before we reach for solutions, we need a reset. What would it look like to pause, not as a retreat, but as a strategy? Imagine the conversation heating up and you feel your chest tighten. Your heart picks up speed and your face flushes. In that moment, say a simple phrase you both agreed on. Something like, "Let's reset." Then step away from the edge. Get a glass of water. Walk to the porch, feel the evening air, and let the hum of a summer neighborhood remind you that nothing is chasing you. Of course, a pause only works if it is safe and predictable. It should mean, "I will come back," not "I'm leaving this fight forever." Tell your partner when you'll return to the conversation and keep that promise. What would it do for your sense of safety if time out always came with a time in that you could trust? But there's something even quieter holding love together. After the reset, the next beat is listening in a way that calms the nervous system. Not listening to rebut, not listening to win. Listening to understand what the moment represents inside the person you love. Try this. When you sit back down, choose one person to share while the other only listens. Keep your eyes gentle. Let your shoulders drop. The listener's job is to reflect back the heart of what they heard. It sounded like you felt overlooked when I stayed on my phone while you were cooking, and it made everything else feel lopsided. A good reflection is short and honest. It ends with a question that keeps the channel open. Did I get that right, or did I miss anything? That last line invites repair. It also models the kind of marriage communication tips that shift a fight into a connection lesson. Where in your own life could you use that one sentence to keep a door open? But listening alone doesn't carry life forward. It softens the ground so new steps don't sink. The next step is moving from blame to needs, and from positions to interests. If one person wants to save more money and the other wants more ease in daily life, the deeper interests are security and rest. This is where couples problem-solving becomes practical. Translate each interest into one small behavior that could happen this week. You might agree that one partner covers dinner on weeknights, while the other handles weekend groceries with a list and a budget. You might plan a quiet hour each Sunday to look at the calendar and align expectations before the week begins. What small agreement would simplify your life if it started tonight? Here's a quiet truth that changes everything. Most arguments aren't about right or wrong. They are about pacing, preference, and protection. If you can name the need under the heat, solutions come into view like a road after fog. But the story isn't finished until you complete a circle of repair. After a hard conversation, the body still holds tension. The heart still looks for reassurance. This is why healthy conflict strategies include a small ritual that says, "We are okay." Try a simple repair ritual. When you finish discussing a tough topic, reach for your partner's hand and look at them for 3 steady breaths. Thank them for staying at the table. Name one thing they did that helped. When you repeated my words without rushing, I felt safe. If you could add one small ritual to close your disagreements, what would it be? There's a curiosity spike most people feel right here. If these tools are so simple, why do arguments still spin out? Because our nervous systems learned old scripts long before we learned partnership. When the body thinks it's in danger, it demands proof of safety, not logic. But there's a way through that honors both the mind and the body. Think of the reset as a safety brake, not a shutdown. Think of reflective listening as a pressure valve that turns down the volume on fear. Think of agreements as a plan that opens tomorrow instead of refighting yesterday. Where does your body typically take you? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn when the tension rises? Let's ground this in a familiar US scene. It's a late winter evening, the air outside crisp enough to sting a little. You've both just come in from a long commute on salted roads. Dinner is quick and quiet. Then something small tilts the room. The mail drops. You see a number you don't like, and the conversation turns sharp. The reset phrase arrives like a handrail. You step away for a few minutes. You fill a glass, notice the faint hum of the refrigerator, and stand near the window where the cold presses against the glass. When you return, your voice has room in it. You say, "I want to understand." Start where it really started for you. Your partner names the core of it. It wasn't just the bill. It was the feeling of being alone in the hard decisions. You reflect the words back, not perfectly, but sincerely. The tension lowers. The room warms just a little. Have you ever noticed how the smallest accurate reflection can make the whole evening feel different? But we also need the spring after the winter. Forward movement, not just thawing. The two of you pick one experiment, a weekly check-in, where you look at money and meals together for 20 minutes. The goal is not to solve everything, but to keep the temperature from spiking. If this were your week, what would that check-in actually include? Now think of a summer Saturday. Windows open, a fan turning the warm air. You've promised yourselves to handle house tasks without sniping. One of you puts on light acoustic music. The other makes iced coffee. You write the plan on a sticky note. Who starts laundry? Who handles the yard? Who orders groceries? When the list lives on paper, it doesn't have to live in your chest. Even with plans, old reflexes can flare. So you layer in one more relationship repair technique. When you catch each other doing it right, speaking gently, asking a clarifying question, or pausing before replying, you say it out loud. 3 seconds of praise can redirect a day. Where could you install a moment of appreciation that would cost you nothing and change your tone? But there's something even quieter holding love together. After a rupture, reconciliation is not a single act. It's a sequence: safety, understanding, agreement, and reconnection. Skip any step, and the same fight returns wearing new clothes. Let's follow a short story of repair. Jordan and Avery keep circling the same issue: phone time at night. It feels small until midnight, when someone turns away mid-sentence and the other feels dismissed. One night, they try a reset. They breathe, they name the need underneath, and they decide on a simple change. Phones charge outside the bedroom, and bedtime includes 10 minutes of conversation with no screens. The first week is awkward. They forget once, then twice. But they stick with the plan and add a tiny promise. Whoever notices drift first invites a reset with a gentle hand on the arm. After a month, their late-night tone is different. They are no less busy, but they are less brittle. Does a micro-agreement like that sound plausible in your home? Now we place a mid-roll hand on your shoulder. If your chest has tightened hearing all this, it's because you care more than you realize. You are not the only couple learning these moves. You are not late. Here at Whispered Hearts, English, you have a corner of the internet where mistakes are normal and practice is celebrated. You belong in a community that treats relationship skills like any other craft: learned, refined, and shared. The next part matters for long-term peace. Boundaries are not punishments. They are promises that keep love safe. You might decide that heated talks never happen past a certain time in the evening, or not while driving, or not when either of you is hungry. These aren't rules to control a partner. They are shared guardrails to prevent swerves. Before you shift topics, say what the conversation is actually about. I want to feel like we're on the same team when we talk about family visits. That single line moves you from adversaries to allies. Ask a small, honest question. What would feeling like a team look like just for tonight? Could that question take the edge off your next hard talk? But there's a deeper layer to de-escalating fights that many couples overlook. Repair thrives in specificity. Vague promises dissolve under stress. Concrete actions stick. Instead of, "I'll try to be better with tone," try, "I'll put my phone down when you start speaking, and I'll finish my thought after you finish yours." Instead of, "Let's communicate more," try, "When we hit a snag, let's each summarize the other's point in 2 sentences. That clarity makes the nervous system exhale. What specific one-liner could you commit to right now? Let's bring in the feel of autumn, when the light shifts and the air smells like dry leaves. You're walking down a neighborhood street, shoes crunching on the sidewalk. A small disagreement rises about holiday plans. You catch it early. You anchor in the skills. You ask, what are you hoping for this year, and what are you protecting? The question opens the map you both need. It's normal if your voice shakes when you try new tools. It's normal if part of you waits for the old blast to return. That's why we practice when the stakes are low, so the bridge is ready when a storm rolls in. Practice is not a sign you're weak. It's a sign you're serious about loving well. But there's something even quieter holding love together. Repair also means reapproaching joy on purpose. After a tough week, schedule a small, playful moment that costs almost nothing. A walk at twilight, a coffee on the stoop, a shared playlist while you cook. When joy returns, friction loses its fuel. Now, let's address a common sticking point. One partner wants to solve everything at once. The other wants to feel understood before solving anything. You don't have to choose. You can each get what you need by sequencing the conversation. First understanding, then problem solving. Both matter, and they work better in that order. During understanding, avoid global statements like "you always" and "you never." Those phrases make the other person defend their entire character. Keep to the scene in front of you. Describe what happened, what it meant inside you, and what you wish had happened instead. Does that adjustment feel doable the next time your voice starts to rise? During problem solving, use time and a place to your advantage. Keep agreements small and near-term so they feel real. Agree to revisit in a week and adjust. This keeps resentment from calcifying and shows you're refining together. A living plan beats a perfect plan you never follow. Let's name a subtle skill that lifts everything. Ask for the smallest viable change that would meet your core need. If your need is connection, you might ask for a daily 10-minute check-in after dinner. If your need is predictability, you might ask for a shared calendar update every Sunday afternoon. These are partner communication tools that turn hope into rhythm. But there's an even quieter move that prevents so many blow-ups. When the conversation gets tangled, speak from the I, not the you. I felt overwhelmed when the plan changed last minute, and I need a quick heads up next time. Land softer than, you never tell me anything. Do you hear the difference in your body as you read that? Let's return to Jordan and Avery for the rap that matters. Months later, they still disagree sometimes, because they are two humans with different nervous systems and histories. But their conflicts feel more like puzzles than explosions. They pause, they reflect, they build small, clear agreements, and they close with a ritual, hands together for 3 breaths on the couch before Netflix, a quiet signal that the team is intact. A final note on forgiveness that keeps couples steady. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's an ongoing choice to keep investing in repair while watching for consistent change. It asks for accountability because trust grows best where actions repeat in the right direction. Is there one area where you're ready to combine gentleness with a firm, clear boundary? Now, a gentle nudge to take this from screen to life. Pick one move, the reset phrase, the reflective summary, the 2-sentence agreement, or the closing ritual. Practice it this week, not in a crisis, but on an ordinary Tuesday. Small repetitions make strong habits. Strong habits make calmer homes. And because stories teach best, here's a quick closing scene. It's a spring rain kind of afternoon, sidewalks shining, wipers ticking a soft rhythm. You both had a rough morning. On the drive, you say, let's reset. Later, on the couch, you try the reflection. Then you choose one tiny agreement for tomorrow. A little quiet returns, like the sound after rain when the street finally stills. What's your number 1 rule during disagreements? Share it below so someone else can borrow it tonight. Your experience might be the exact phrase another couple needs to hear. When you offer it, you're not just helping them. You're reminding yourselves that you've built something worth protecting. As we close, remember this is a skill set, not a personality test. You can learn to de-escalate, to listen, to build win-win plans, and to repair without carrying resentment. Keep the steps small and the promises honest, and your living room will feel more like a safe harbor than a courtroom. And if you need company while you practice, whispered hearts. English will be here, whispering the steady truth that relationships get stronger when we practice conflict resolution for couples together.